Making an angel hair pomodoro tonight. So we're gonna start with going ahead and adding a little oil to the pan. Sorry if there's background noise. I'm also air frying some chicken to go with the dish, and then I'm probably gonna do shaved Brussels sprouts on the side as well. But I'm gonna show you how I make the angel hair pomodoro. And if you don't know what a pomodoro is, the best way I can explain it is like a marinara sauce with like a bunch of basil in it. It's delicious. So we're gonna go ahead and saute off our onions. Let's turn that up. Why is it down so low? Okay, now we're sizzling. Okay, so the onions have cooked down, sweated out. It really is up to you how long you want to kind of let them like cook out. I like to cook mine down quite a bit because I don't really want like big chunks of onion in the sauce. I kind of like it more for flavor, but I don't really want to notice it while I'm taking bites, if that makes sense. But anyways, once you get your onions cooked down, I turned down my temp down to like a 4. I was letting these sweat out at like a medium high, but I'm gonna turn it down for the garlic because again, we don't want the garlic to burn. So I'm just gonna let this cool down just for a second. Okay, so once the pan has cooled down just a little bit, we are going to throw our garlic in. I did do a whole onion for this recipe, and I did, I don't know, maybe like 8 cloves of garlic, but you can really measure the garlic and the onion just however you want to do it. You could do half an onion, a whole onion, you could do, 2 cloves of garlic, you could do more than 8, I don't know, whatever you want to do. It really is just like personal preference. I love garlic and onion as like the base for everything, so I do a lot. I just like to cook it down. So we're gonna let the garlic just kind of cook in here until it's fragrant, just about like a minute or so, not too long, before we add the other ingredients. And then as far as the tomatoes I use the Campari tomatoes. I've tried this recipe with like other tomatoes, like, I don't know, just a bunch of different tomatoes, and these are by far my favorite. I won't make it any other way. So, and because I'm doing a whole thing of pasta, I'll show you. So I'm gonna be making this dish with like an entire box of pasta, so that way everyone in my house can kind of just snack on it over the next few days. So if you're gonna be using a whole box of pasta, I would do 2 containers of the tomatoes, and they come in these like little crates like this. So 2 of these if you're gonna do a whole box of the angel hair pasta. If you're only gonna do half the angel hair pasta, you could totally get away with just 1 of these. But again, I'm making the dish for like an entire box of pasta so everyone can snack on it. We are gonna go ahead and throw in our tomatoes. I did wash them and then quarter them. I noticed when I quarter them that it just kind of cooks down a little bit easier. I do have my temp at about a 5 right now. I would say it probably takes about, I don't know, 15-20 minutes for the tomatoes to cook down. Now usually I'm like such a like, let's season it like a lot, and I like to use a bunch of different seasonings when I cook. But honestly with this dish, I do feel like less is more. We're gonna add like fresh basil, and I really like the flavors of like all the like vegetables kind of just doing their own thing. So we're gonna do salt. But we're gonna do some pepper. You can use really just any black pepper. I like doing crushed black pepper for my sauces, or what is this? Black peppercorn, and then I like to grind it versus like the actual stuff that's like already crushed. And this is Italian seasoning. I do a good amount of this. Also, I did end up turning the temp up to like a 6. I think the 5 was a little low, so we're like at a good medium right now. I do add a good amount of the seasonings I do put in. I just don't add very many seasonings. I do add a little bit of onion powder. I know we already put onion, like real onion in there, but I think that the onion powder with the real onion just kind of adds like I feel like it adds more flavor. And yes, I know we did garlic, but we are gonna add some garlic powder as well. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of crushed red pepper, not much, because I do have little ones who like to eat this. So just a little bit, nothing too crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and stir this around a bit. And honestly, let's go ahead and add our carrot as well. I love adding carrot to like whenever I'm making tomato sauces, just because I feel like that sweetness really helps. And I just kind of like shred it up. I don't know if you can see that, but shredded it up super fine, so you don't really like notice it in the actual sauce. But the flavor is so good, plus it's added nutrition. So yes, trust that the sweetness though from the carrot really kind of brings the sauce, like it carries it. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna give this a stir. Now we're gonna let the lid go on and let these tomatoes cook down for about 15 minutes, and we'll see where we are at. Make sure this is all stirred up well. Lid on. Now we're gonna wait 15 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 15 minutes that this is cooked. I'm giving it a stir just to kind of help break up the tomatoes a little bit. They're basically falling apart at this point. So it's almost there. I'm just kind of pushing the tomatoes around just to kind of help assist break it up a little. You don't need to like mash it or anything. As it cooks, it honestly just kind of breaks down itself. And then we need to add, never mind. We're gonna add lime and basil to this, but I think I'm gonna let this cook out just a little bit longer. Yeah, because these tomatoes are just still a little more put together than I would like. So I'm gonna put the lid back on, let this go for like 5 more minutes, and then we'll check in on it again. Ooh, and I almost forgot, adding a little bit of sugar to this goes a long way. I would typically do a little more sugar than what I'm gonna do now, but because we did the carrots, that's gonna account for a little bit of sweetness. So we are just gonna do literally a pinch, nothing crazy. You do not want this to be a sweet sauce, but the sugar definitely helps bring out the tomato flavor, and it goes well with like the lime and all that stuff too. And honestly, let's just go ahead and add the lime now. I have half a lime ready, but I don't think I'm gonna need the whole thing. Again, you can always add more, you can't take it away. Yeah, I'm gonna start with that. I have more if I need it, but I just don't want to add too much because you don't want it to be like a sour sauce, but the lime definitely will help bring out some of the flavor. And then since this is like basically almost done, we can go ahead and add in our fresh basil as well. I did use like one of like the big containers of basil you get at the store. You know how they have like the little flat ones and then they have like the big like tubs. So we're gonna go ahead and add this in. I did chop it up nice and fine. And this sauce is honestly gonna be ready to go here in a few minutes. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get these noodles started, turn this up. You don't wanna start your noodles too soon because you do wanna add like your hot noodles straight over to your pasta. You don't wanna like drain it or anything like that. The starch from like the noodles and like the pasta water definitely helps like bring the whole sauce together. Keep your pasta water because sometimes as you add your noodles, you'll realize you need just a little bit more something to kind of bring it all together. So having the pasta water, just in case you need to kind of like marry, you know, the noodles with the sauce and all that, it's just nice to have that. So don't dump it. Okay, so it has been 4 minutes. We are gonna go ahead and start transferring the noodles over to the pasta. And again, you don't really have to worry about draining out like the pasta water that is like all over the noodles because the pasta water is like liquid gold when it comes to making this sauce. And honestly, you might even need a little bit more. So just get all these noodles over. Once we get these noodles over too, I am gonna taste test this and just make sure it's got enough lime, got enough salt, all the good stuff. I've currently just turned my sauce down, my Pomodoro sauce down to a low. I mean, it could probably even be off at this point, but we'll just have it on a low for now. Make sure to get all these noodles. So we're just gonna stir this in, see what we're looking like. And this is what my plate looks like. Shaved Brussels sprouts, air fryer chicken, and then the Pomodoro. Bam.